Hello and welcome to CEN 4801. Translating system requirements into an efficient system design is the most important stage. System design and development has four different phases: investigation, analysis, design, and implementation. And we are talking about the phases for the system itself, designing the system itself. Now, remember that we took methodologies, the different methodologies were about the system development life cycle. How to manage the development process, how to work on the development process, which is totally different than now designing the system itself. So in this session and in the next few sessions, we will address these phases and review some of the methods used to accomplish each phase. Again, those are methods to now start developing or working on the system itself. So the first phase is systems investigation, which requires asking questions to identify the problems and opportunities that a new or enhanced system can solve or provide, for example, increasing efficiency, reducing waste, minimizing downtime, so on. So that will assist me in gathering the information and making sure that the information is correct. In addition, new hardware, software, database, telecommunication personnel, or procedures needed to improve or create the new system will be identified. Everything will that we are going to use in the new system should be identified at this stage. The systems investigation phase will include estimating costs associated with enhancing or creating the new system, whether a variable or fixed cost. Some questions will address the risks of having a new system or enhancing the current system. Uh, uh, it should be asked or should be addressed at this point. That risk will be documented and the reason will be identified. Then alternative solutions to mitigate or eliminate the risk will also be included. To initiate systems investigation, a system request form or document should be filled out by someone who wants the information system department or any related department to initiate systems investigation. So basically we are saying that it should be established from the upper management that you need to start or initiate the investigation to look at the current system, to look at the gaps that we have in the system, what kind of threats, vulnerabilities, risks that we have that we should address. If the system was outdated, then we need to see how it can be replaced. The whole system can be replaced with a new system. The form will help rationalize and prioritize the activities of that department. It's just a document that will assist me in looking at the priorities. Which one should I start with? Which one should I finish first? And based on that, we start, proceeding with the activities. The documents will include problems and opportunities for system. Once we investigate, then we have those problems identified, the objectives of the investigation, the overview, cost, and benefits of the proposed system. So we are trying to initiate the investigation, looking at the problems, looking at the solutions, and then finding what kind of cost or benefit will be associated with that change. During the investigation phase, there is a need to perform a feasibility study to ensure that a new system or an enhanced system can be developed. The feasibility study will cover five different aspects: the technical aspect, the economical aspect, the legal aspect, operational, and the schedule, the time. The technical feasibility will cover analyzing the hardware, software, and other system components. Now we are looking at the technical part of it, so we need to understand how each one of them works and how do they interact with each other. The economic feasibility will compare or predict the benefits or compare the predicted benefits with the cost and time. The legal feasibility will identify limitations of laws and regulations on the project. What kind of limitations we have, what kind of constraints, are there any laws that we need to follow, any state regulations, any other entities or organizational limitations or regulations. The operational feasibility will identify the logistical and motivational consideration part of the design or the study. And for the schedule, it will look at the possibility of completing the project in a reasonable amount of time. We're looking at the time period that the project will or the design will take place or will be completed at. As stated in previous lecture, one of the methods used in systems development lifecycle is object-oriented approach. If that was the approach to be used, the key objects should be identified during system investigation. So we are looking now at one of the development lifecycle. As we said before, we are looking at object-oriented. So we use that method to do the investigation. With that being said, I'm just giving you an example that how we implemented those methods that we learned before on the design stage that we have right now. So if we selected that method, then we need to identify all the objects during the system investigation. Not only the objects, but also their interaction with each other. When we say interaction with each other, it's easy to develop a use case diagram to understand the different components and different objects that are involved in the system. Um, we are talking about the components, subcomponents that will be represented in use case events or use case diagram. This is an example of a system like rental boat or kayak rental system. You can see that we have kayaks, we have clerk, and the clerk will rent the kayaks to the customer, and we can purchase new kayaks that can be added to the inventory, or if the customer release it back or return it back, then it will be added back to the inventory to make sure that the inventory is complete. So this figure shows the example of a use case diagram, and the clerk is an object that will rent a kayak, and the kayak is another object, and we can see the interaction between the kayak, the clerk, and the customer, and the inventory when it's been added again. So just to remind you that this was just an example of object-oriented method used, which is from the system development lifecycle approach that being used in the investigation stage of the design. No matter which method or approach has been used, a system investigation or systems investigation report should be developed, and the systems investigation report should include the following. First of all, we need a summary of all the results of the system investigation and the process of the feasibility analysis. Is it feasible? How much time? How much cost? All that should be included in the summary. And then we have a recommendation, and the recommendation are the course of actions that should be implemented towards the development of the system, such as the continuous system analysis. Designing that system does not mean that we are through or we're done. We need to continue analyzing that system to make sure that it's up to date, and also we need to modify the project as needed. If we need to abandon the project because it's costly and it does not, or the feasibility study shows that's not worth the benefits of it, then we can recommend abandoning that project. The report will be reviewed by steering committee of senior management and users for authorization to move to the next phase. Again, either we say yes, we are going to move forward with the current scenario, or we can modify the project a little bit and move with the current scenario, or we can abandon the project saying that it's not feasible, or the benefit is not worth the cost. The figure shows a common table of content for system investigation report. So usually this is the table of content where you have the executive summary, review of the goals and objectives, system problems and opportunities, project feasibility, the cost, the benefit, and the recommendation at the end. So this is the report that will be submitted to the upper management or to the committee, and the committee will review it and make their final decision based on that report. So that will be the first phase. The next time we are going to continue with the second phase of the design of the system and see how that works. If you have any questions, you can email it to me or you can call. You can also come in person, and I will be more than glad to answer or address your concern. Have a great day. Thank you.